Get it?
Look at that.
Is it on?
I think
Is
it
this thing
is.
on?
Once again, we've accomplished turning it on. That's always.
And people if they had any idea
They
the
underestimate.
level of the production that goes into these high quality, informative videos.
You are blessed to be with Chef Chris, Sam, Ed, for another tasting virtually, as you cannot be here with us for some odd reason tomorrow, which is today, I guess.
Tomorrow is today, and time is irrelevant. And in quantum physics, which we believe in study.
Right.
And by study, I mean, sure, that sounds all right.
Yeah.
Tomorrow is today, and today is
that.
tomorrow, and of course...
The virtual tasting lives on way past Chris and I.
Oh yeah, I mean, this is...
But you're going to want more of this.
Well, you're going to get carpal tunnel refilling that if you don't
right,
do a little bit better.
Just go ahead and do it up
Yeah,
first.
just go ahead and do it.
So we're...
And that's what I don't like about these big glasses.
It's deceptive.
And so, by the way, Ed was nice enough to come to the house to do this because, again, we've got some caregiver dilemmas. And so, you know, when these things happen, you adjust, you adapt, and you do what you do to take care of your family.
You told me the reason we're here is because you're sick of being at work. You just made that whole thing up, didn't you?
I did.
Well, we do miss you here in person on Thursday nights at 6 p.m. doing our tastings, but we're so glad that you can watch our video and catch up, so to speak. And boy, Chef, you know, I kind of told you we had some different options for reds this week, and I told you what I was kind of leaning towards.
I was excited when you were talking about it.
And
salivating.
So the people that are the folks that'll be with us Thursday night at 6 p.m. will have a couple other ones. I love them all. Everybody asks me what's your favorite one. I like them all, love them all.
It's like asking you what your favorite kid is.
Yeah. Yeah.
You love them all, just in different ways.
What's my favorite goddaughter? I can't choose.
You can't decide. They're so different, but you love them
They're
both.
so darn sweet, too. So I get to spend some... Well, to
they
be
are
there.
to you, yeah.
To be
Yeah,
there.
good point.
So I get to spend some time with my goddaughters over at Chris's house and see his dogs. And, you know, it's just a lot of fun over here.
Well, they bark.
Yeah. And beautiful weather, if you like sweating to death. It's perfect. So we are going to drink some... Tonight
It's like the Mojave with a walnut tree.
Yeah, and cicadas.
Yeah.
So there's no telling what you're hearing. I know we've done some videos here before, and it's like every background
It really
noise,
picks it up.
like
It's incredible. When we go
chirping.
back and watch it, we're like, we didn't hear this
didn't even hear
ambient noise.
Something tells me they can hear the cicadas because I can hear them.
I can hear
as
the
deaf
cicadas,
as I am.
for sure.
But so we're gonna do two wines. One I pretty much would be willing to bet my life you haven't had this grape. And then there's the something that I know that you've had, and it's kind of snuck.
Yeah, don't give it away.
Don't want to give it away. This is from Alberto Orte. This is from Cadiz, Spain, which is in Jerez. Now, Jerez is known for sherry, and that is one of the most complex, interesting, unique beverages in the world. But also in this area, there are some still wines that are still produced in a traditional manner, not in the sherry method, which is very complex, and we should probably go into that on a different episode. So this is a grape called Tintilla, and it was considered...
It just rolls off the tongue.
Oh, it's beautiful. Tintilla.
Like a chinchilla.
Yeah.
A tintilla.
So it is a grape that was considered extinct. Presumably, it was completely wiped out by phylloxera. And Mr. Orte found a vacated vineyard that had some surviving vines of this and slowly propagated over time till he got to the point where he had literally produced the first Tintilla of 100%. You know, there's been some blended ones, but the first 100% in over a century, because phylloxera hit in the kind of later part of the 1800s. I believe it was in the 1860s when it started. Not completely sure when it wiped through Spain.
So, I mean, help me with my biology here, Sam. Does phylloxera go from vineyard to vineyard through soil or through the air? Can birds And pollinators transfer it, or is it all soil based? I don't know how
Well,
phylloxera
phylloxera was in North America, and as Europeans came to North America and then returned, it had particularly on their shoes.
Okay.
Okay, so it's in the ground. It's a louse. It eats. What it does is it feasts on the root, leaving the root exposed to other things.
Okay, got it.
So usually it's
kind of
going
like
to die
pneumonia.
from something else.
Yeah.
It weakens their immune system.
So that way a common cold would knock you out.
Now the phylloxera was not an issue in North America because our vines from North America had been lived with phylloxera and they were toughened to it, and so phylloxera.
So they had an immunity to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But when you carry, it's kind of like when we took the smallpox from Europe over to the Native Americans.
Yeah.
And wiped them out.
Yeah.
You know, for a good
while. Portion of it.
A good portion. So this is the same kind of thing.
Or a bad portion.
Kind of reciprocating back, wiped out all of Europe's wines for the most part. It's kind of fascinating to think that, you know, all these great French and Spanish wines are all on North American rootstock because now because phylloxera is a thing in Europe and it always will be, they have to use grafted rootstock to create the great Bordeaux.
So it's kind of like giving the vines a vaccine.
In a sense, yeah, absolutely. So this is so it completely wiped out, and everybody thought that this particular grape had been gone.
So no boots on the ground in this vineyard.
Well, you know, now there are areas in South America where phylloxera did not hit, and they are very particular about people entering
that area. Yeah.
So there is almost like a delousing, if you will.
Then now, did they transfer from South America, or was this just an isolated area in Spain?
So South America never got phylloxera. It was in North America, but not noticeable because no one knew it was an issue until it got to those tender roots of the vinifera of Europe, and that's when it became an issue. And then there was a man smart enough in Europe to realize that, hey, if we graft North American rootstock to our famous vinifera of Europe, then we can replant Europe's great wines. So technically,
you're welcome.
Yeah, technically speaking, the vines that are in South America that are of French descent are still on original rootstock. So they were
pre-phylloxera, and they continue to be.
There are some examples of that still alive today, that are technically more French than any of the vines.
So even the terroir of South America can't change the rootstock of these European old vines.
Correct. Yeah.
I mean, it probably influences the weather.
Yeah.
But
yeah, absolutely. But I just find it interesting. And
fascinating.
We don't really know. I mean, I've never seen anything, and this might be something that maybe someone out there knows. Is there a way to detect a difference in the ultimate grape and wine with vines that are on North American rootstock? Does it affect them?
Yeah, they have to know. I mean, the DNA advancements. We hear all the time how we're rediscovering long thought extinct grapes through DNA, or people think they have this grape, and they've been growing it for decades, or centuries, and the DNA folks come around and go, well, actually no, that's something completely different.
Yeah.
Well, not completely different because I mean it's similar, but a different rootstock.
Yeah.
So I bet they could. I mean, I would imagine a lot of the old school South American growers, if you think you are one of those places that has, early 1900 European rootstock, I wouldn't want the DNA folks down there. I would want the lore.
Let the lore live on.
the lore to live on, and I would be like, that would be part of the mystique, and who really cares at the end of the day? I mean, I know a lot of people do. I mean, you and I would geek out on it.
Right. The stories are great, but what matters is what's in that glass.
Yeah. And so you don't want to, too science it up, but I still think in some other areas that would be really cool to kind of get to the bottom of what a lot of these vineyards are and what exactly it is. And like, are these really Malbecs? Are these really Cab Francs? I mean, it'd be fascinating on a geek level. But at the end of the day, I'd rather have the story.
Yeah. And since it makes perfect sense to transition this story, even though it has nothing to do with the wine we're drinking. But since we're in South America, in Chile, Carmenere is a grape that is very prevalent, but it was mislabeled as Merlot for decades and decades, and it wasn't until DNA they said, "Hey, you're putting Merlot on your label, but this is not Merlot; it's Carmenere."
No, wow.
And they gave him the option to grandfather it, and it was a pretty significant time, like 25 years, something because that's about like a bond life.
That's fair.
And you could continue calling him Merlot, but Chile said, you know what? Here's an opportunity. Let's own it up.
Plant that flag.
And Carmenere.
And just like Malbec to the Argentinians, Carmenere to them, and so they were able to break out of their little region and say, look, this is who we are. We're the Carmenere people.
Good luck finding Carmenere from anywhere but Chile. Chile has really branded it very well.
And a blending grape anywhere else in the world. And so Chile has really, turned it into this single varietal powerhouse, to whereas before you would probably use it to be the 7th grape in the blend.
And now, here we go with Tintilla. This could be another great. It's not necessarily a discovery, it's a rejuvenation.
And the Icarus.
Right, absolutely.
It's risen from the ashes.
That's right. So here we go with a grape. And Chef, how would you describe it? Is it the first time you've had it?
It is. And I must say, it drinks very Spanish. It is
because it is.
It is dry.
Uh-huh.
It has soft tannins.
Yes.
And it has little to no discernible fruit. To me.
Right.
I mean,
it's hard to pick out a fruit.
I mean, all wines are fruity. I mean, that's just like leaving the baseline out there. What I'm saying is, usually when we're tasting through wines, you can just be like plum, pomegranate, raspberry. I mean, this is just and I'm not going to use the word flat, but it's a very generic fruit.
Maybe homogenous.
Homogenous.
I think there's a lot of fruit, but it's so. It's a lot of times I say fruit punchy.
Fruit punchy. This is not a bright fruit wine.
There's not individual standout fruits. There maybe plum. Maybe. I
mean, plum or cherry.
Maybe,
but it's not bright.
Right.
And I guess that's I spent way too many words saying not bright fruit. But I absolutely adore this. What I love about this wine, which is a little different than some Spanish wines, it's like that Rutherford dust on this thing. This is a dusty wine. And you know how that people talk about the Rutherford dust, and a lot of people will talk about northern Italy having dusty wines. This is dusty, and I love it. It's rusty, it's tannicky, it's dry.
It pairs nice with the acidity too.
The acidity is very it's almost salty.
Right.
The acidity.
There's a salinity.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. I mean, so I'm telling you all the things I adore about this wine. They made this wine for me, and I appreciate them doing that.
Yeah.
Because right up my alley. Because too many
medium body.
Medium body. I don't like the. I mean, I appreciate the super big wines.
But you can't slug them.
But you can't slug them. Mm-hmm. Well, and also, I mean, I know you go through this, but I can't even enjoy like a super high-end wine anymore because I'm working on it.
Yeah.
I'm like, Ed's gonna want to know what about this, about that, about this, and I can't even enjoy it because I'm trying to disseminate it.
Right.
To where I love opening wines and go, I really like this. Glug glug.
Glug glug. Yes. Oh, this is a glug glug.
This is a glugger.
But I'll tell you what, it's not.
But
simple.
It doesn't.
It's not simple.
No, it is not simple. I was just saying all the attributes I love about this wine that differentiated between a lot of Spanish wines that have brighter fruit.
Totally agree.
And a bunch of wasted words. There's my review. There's my review.
Words are good. So, Chef, you got a little box of treats there.
All right, so you've got a little inside information that I never have. So, we have two things here, and I'm going to let you pick.
Okay.
We got a real treat here. We got this Brasol. Remember we did this a couple weeks ago.
Yes.
Now, it's been kind of sitting on. I didn't know what to do
with it. Now, that's Wagyu, correct?
It's Wagyu, and it's air-dried, uncured, 6 months.
Yeah.
And this is just...
This is fancy beef jerky.
So, it is fancy beef jerky.
I'm just kidding.
Do you remember that sitcom Frasier?
Yes.
You remember the dad? He was always... he was great. anyway, he was talking
straight shooter.
One of the episodes sticks out to me. I don't remember why. I only watched like 5 of them, but one of them he was talking about how he was telling his sons, I joined this club where they take the finest beef tenderloins in the world, and they source them from Japan and Brazil and Australia, and they take them and then they put them in dehydrators and turn them into beef jerky. Anyhow, because he's a big beef jerky guy. He's talking about sourcing the best. That made me think of that episode. It's like, you took a Wagyu beef and you made beef jerky out of it.
In a sense, yes. But
however, I bought this.
That is gorgeous.
It is gorgeous. I bought this to do on the chef's table. Honestly, kind of flying blind. Came in, Ed and I tasted it. We decided it wasn't for the chef's table. It really wasn't what I thought it was going to be. And like my idea in my head and what actually came in weren't simpatico. And so I let Ed try it. We tried it. We knocked around a couple of things and said no. So I just been kind of sitting on it for a couple of weeks. And when you told me today we were doing back-to-back reds, I was like, this is coming out today. I don't know if the dryness and even though it's uncured, so this isn't like a country ham. This is uncured, air-dried. I mean, not to say there's not salt on it. There totally is. But it's not like prosciutto or country ham. Although, with the tan, I know you know what this is like. So I was going to let you decide between the Brussels and the beautiful Looking Glass Creamery Ridgeline Blue. So,
show the kids at home.
Look at that. Are you kidding me? And I have a little story I tell about this cheese at the chef's table. Is a lot of people will make a blue cheese, and the cheese itself is the afterthought. The inoculated blue is the driving force. At Looking Glass, the cheese
is like a vessel to get you
that's exactly
the
right.
inoculation.
And in Looking Glass, the cheese is the star that just so happens to be inoculated. And that's the difference between an artisan craft blue cheese from North Carolina and a blue cheese you pick up at the grocery store that you just want to put on something. And hey, we love blue cheese to just make dressing and put on stuff. So we're not knocking it, but we're snobs, so we're doing the fancy artisan North Carolina stuff. And so I kind of figured we've been on a trend here. I'll give you a couple things that I think will go with either wine, and you have the final say.
I get to eat them.
And the final say.
So, Chef, when it's meat, of course, that dry aging gives that little hint of gaminess, which you get from dry aged beef. But I got to tell you, once I drank this Spanish wine with this dry aged or air-dried, rather, Wagyu, I immediately thought of Serrano ham. I mean, with this wine, I was like, holy cow!
And that is the home field thing.
Yeah, this is the kind of wine that you would have with Serrano ham in Spain. So why not? I mean, I don't even need to taste the cheese with this. Although I do think the cheese will go with it.
Well, and you'll taste it in a minute, and you can you have the option of flip-flop.
I can always flip-flop.
But I agree. I think the Serrano
out of the gates,
and that's a great grab, by the way. That's a great grab on that. I mean, I even said it's not like prosciutto, but Serrano a little different than prosciutto. Just so you folks at home, has a spice, and it's more peppercorn, more of a little rub on there. Where prosciutto is just a more a hunk of meat. 16 months, 2 years on the good stuff.
Maybe longer,
on the really good stuff, but the Alberto, what are those? What was that name of that pig? It's similar to Alberto that they actually use Serrano for. They don't use it. They only use it for that. Only that breed of pig can be used to do anyway. Whatever. Well, I'll think of it next week.
Well, we've got some friends. Dr. Chris.
Dr. Chris always does a prosciutto
makes
every
a beautiful prosciutto.
And he does the slather method. He takes peppercorns and rendered fat and slathers it and ages it, because I think if you don't have, he does have a controlled room, but if you don't have
there's more organic.
More organic,
More critters living in the air.
More critters in the air, and the peppercorn.
A true barnyard kind of farmhouse.
It's like what are those the Trappist, a Trappist ham.
Yep.
Where you would actually you're counting on the natural things in the air to do your job, like the Trappist Belgian ales. they don't have a ferment. They want the natural yeast captured in the air to ferment their beers. They're not going to add a false yeast or an unnatural fermentation because they want it to happen in nature, much like a prosciutto in a barn.
I just want to say thank you, Alberto, for putting all that work in to resurrecting this grape. And I know there's 10,000 grapes out there, but this is a special grape.
What a great story.
I think enjoying this grape would be good for your palate because it doesn't taste like anything else. And, we're all, capable of getting into ruts, drinking the same things over and over. You need to try some different things to keep your palate fresh so you can taste more things. And this is the kind of wine that will help you taste more things because, like Chris said, these fruits are really tied together. They're hard to peel back.
The cherry's coming out now. My last sip,
and
it's been a little more time in the glass.
It's evolving, yeah.
It got some air. We talked a little bit, which allowed the wine to aerate a little bit more, and the cherry was really coming out there on that last sip.
Yeah, really a real treat. Not many people in the world have had this. So, little Mount Airy delivers again.
No, it's not Mount Airy, it's you. I mean, you're putting in the work and you're asking for the kooky stuff and you're delivering.
We are on the cutting edge of wine drinking here in Mount Airy.
Look how cool that label is.
Okay, so we're going from the kind of obscure to certainly something that our clientele loves, and that's a Zin. And, California, what do they do best? Well, the first grapes that were planted in California, or most people would agree, were Zinfandels. There's still a huge connection to Zinfandel, even though Napa Cabs are probably some of the most expensive wines in the world, and Napa Chardonnays, and Sonoma for that part. Sonoma is no longer the second fiddle.
Well, and I would say too that no offense to Paso Robles, because they're kind of the new kid on the block.
Well, this is Paso, so
but I'm saying Sonoma Zins, I think, are still top dogs.
Yeah.
I mean, they're catching up, and I'm not, no dogging, but I'm like, if I'm thinking top tier. Turley's up north though; they're not in California anymore.
I think they're considered Napa.
They're considered, but like Sonoma, Napa, Ridge, Turley. Still, I think Zin is king there, and the southern counties, AVAs, are really coming on strong. They're coming on strong. I mean, both with
we've been hitting those hard.
Syrah and Zin.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's big like time. Kind of the big dogs there. But I still think they're enjoying a good perch from Sonoma.
Oh, yeah.
Put California Zin on the map.
Yeah. But here comes Paso, because Paso is one of the fastest, if not the fastest growing wine regions in California, which automatically makes it one of the fastest growing in the United States. We have seen so much from this area, such diversity. Part of it is it's a big area, and there's a lot of microclimates. So Paso's going to have to divide up. They're going to have to break it up a little bit, I think, into sub-AVAs. But as a whole, Paso Robles over-delivers, and I think in intensity, in extraction, alcohol levels, and per price point. A lot of value.
A lot of value, and oh boy. Wow. And I'm actually with Jam-a-rama Ding Dong there. I mean, I was reading an article today. I actually sent it to you this morning. We were talking about for a minute that
wineries.
They were talking about and a lot of it. They were talking about Paso Robles and Santa Barbara and a lot of the areas down there.
Love Santa Barbara.
And but they were talking about the expansion, like how all the big name Santa Barbara guys like Coupe and these guys, they're going into Paso Robles and they're forming bonds with the folks there. A lot of people are pouring money into Paso Robles, clearing land, doing some different things, and they kind of tied it into what Bellew had done back when they cleared out all that rocky area. Some people said, you never grow wine here ever. course,
that's exactly why they did it.
And now, he's getting $600 a bottle for the stuff he doesn't even taste. And so these guys are collaborating doing a lot of the area in Paso Robles. Mm-hmm. I thought it was a fascinating article about some of that stuff. And but all the people, I just love the collaboration that you're hearing about with all these wine, both not only the owners but the wine makers. I mean, they're going outside of their vineyards, collaborating with their neighbors, going on to new ventures and saying, let's do blends, let's do all these different things. And I just love where California's going. They were so stiff for so long. It was like, this is the California way. This is the, and now you're seeing a very, even the old guard is being like embracing this. It warms my heart. I love
it's a beautiful thing. Yeah. And, even beyond that, you have California going up to Washington.
Yeah.
There's
Oregon.
So, Rabble's, they're one of the newer kids on the block. They're not new per se, but they're really building what I would say a national reputation at this point. And it's really interesting the approach that they really feel like they're gonna make an imprint on California winemaking. I like that attitude. This is very, very modern style. Mm-hmm. And we're going from something that is kind of, look at this label.
Old school.
Okay. And then look at this label. This also, you download an app and you get to watch this little tornado run through a town with lightning hits. It's fun. It's more modern. They're trying to attract a different kind of crowd, or maybe turn someone on to wine that is very phone in their face kind of thing. Of course, I had to download it and watch it because
just like the 19 Crimes. I mean, a lot of people who don't even buy the 19 Crimes, they still want to see the videos when you scan over it. Yeah. I mean, it's beautiful marketing.
It's wonderful. The graphic designers on that are just amazing, and they're if you go to their website, beyond just the illusions that they can create with your phone and their label, you'll see that they're very earthy in their approach, very nature driven. They say things like you can't control nature, you can only be shaped by it. I mean, like, kind of, deeper thoughts about nature, which I really think is cool.
Remember when we went to Minglewood? Mm-hmm. And, so two of our most favorite people. I mean, there's a couple, and they've been farming 26 years.
And hopefully 26 more.
Well, it was so great. You go to this farm, and it's decompartmentalized. It's broken up over a huge swath of land. And there's flora and fauna and all these things, and then in between, broken up, you find these little parcels of flowers and gardens and that sort of thing. And like, Bill's big thing is, and he told us, it was so profound. I tell everybody, people will run away from me when they see me, but he was like, he goes, you see the weeds here and there. He goes, they don't grow in between the flowers. He said, but I don't obsess over it because I grow with nature, not against it.
I love it.
And he said, if you spend all your time going against nature, you'll never have what you want.
I agree.
And it's very apropos of this. It's like, it's fine to not have, you don't want vines running through and destroying your stuff and overtaking it.
And you also don't want Roundup on your food.
But it's exactly right. Yeah. So he's like, you work with nature, not against it. Mm-hmm. Some of it's natural. A little bit of that's a good thing. It's like, we're not the Biltmore over
I got to tell you, Chris, the other day I spent $1 zillion on flowers.
Good job. Good for you. Money well spent.
And the other day, there's this huge...
We clearly have a problem with
that
as well.
There's this huge yellow flower that popped up amongst things that I did not plant. It was a weed. It was the prettiest yellow flower about you big. It looked almost reminiscent of a sunflower. And it was a weed that, Mother Nature said, here you go, Ed. Here's something like, I know you want to design this garden, but boom, I can top it.
Well, all flowers are weeds.
Yeah, that's true.
We just pick winners and losers.
Winners and
losers. We don't know why those winners and losers were picked. Sometimes tradition can be a slippery slope. It's like grandma's cooking. Mm-hmm. Where they said
Don't you talk about my grandma.
You calling her a liar? But, you ask grandma later on about something, she goes like, that was BS.
That's a great story.
Every flower that you love is a weed.
Right.
But we have picked winners and losers along the way. We're like, we like this more, and we don't know what the reasoning behind. So when you find something like that, you should propagate it.
Yeah.
You know, and say, I want more of these.
I gotta tell you, it was beautiful.
Just because it's at the out the side,
just because I didn't put it there,
flower store doesn't mean it doesn't belong. I often will not clip. Well, especially up in you know at the river. I mean, we let the wildflowers grow, and because I just think they're the most beautiful expression of God's creation. Much more so than this garden we spend millions of dollars prepping and putting together and slaving over all year that never does what we want it to do. When you can just drive down the countryside and see the wildflowers, I mean, it's like, that's what it's for. Why can't I replicate that?
Yeah,
and
the wildflowers are always so beautiful, particularly in North Carolina and Virginia. Yep. I just had to go back. This is so modern, so jammy, so prune, raisin, fig. It's just a really
it's all dried too.
Delicious,
all those fruits are dried,
super dried,
concentrated, high alcohol, a little hot on the palate, but not in a bad way because the fruit balances that.
Yeah, it's jammy. It's where is the ABV on this rascal? Oh, there it is, 14.5.
Yeah,
and
drinking.
So
it's drinking 15.
But I just wanted to circle back and go from that super modern back, just so if y'all want to do this at home, do it.
Yeah,
to the contrast. And Chef, if you want to, you can sip out of mine.
Did you pour the Spanish back into yours?
The Spanish is in mine. The reiteration of the gaminess of this meat is in that wine. There's a gaminess there that
is now
really tasted
introduced
after that.
Itself. The alcohol. One of the things about how, the salinity is coming out.
Yeah.
And one of the things about a higher alcohol is it does attack your taste buds, just like salt does. It opens them, it stimulates them.
Yeah.
And so a high alcohol, along with acidity, along with acid, stimulate your taste buds, and they allow. The flavors aren't any different. Only you're observing them differently because you're with your stimulated taste buds, everything is enhanced, and so a gaminess on this Wagyu is going to be more intense than. Look at that,
man.
Well, please, it is perfectly tempered too.
Oh,
it's a cheese temp.
See, that is not a blue cheese texture that you're accustomed to.
No, Lord, no. That's
look
a
look
beautiful
at the softness, but texture.
Cow's milk, gorgeous Western North Carolina milk. I mean, you can't beat it.
It's almost like if you made a grilled cheese with Gruyere.
Oh yeah, very
like
nice.
That texture.
Very nice. Very nice.
Earthy as all get
toasty.
Out. Toasty, earthy.
This is only aged about 5 months, 6 months, but it tastes a lot older than it is. It's very concentrated. And the inoculation is small, you see. It's a ribbon. You know, it doesn't permeate the entire round of cheese, but the flavor profile permeates the entire wheel without it having to be overwhelming with, aesthetically.
This would actually be a blue cheese that I think non-blue cheese lovers could get their brain wrapped around.
I think this is a great gateway cheese for that, to get people on the blue cheese bandwagon. And so many people have been turned off of it because of a bad blue cheese experience, which is so over the top.
Yeah, I mean, this is not Stilton. You're not going to confuse this with Stilton.
Or Roquefort. I mean, what is, no, not Roquefort. Rocher. What is that over the top? It's like, it's similar to Stilton, but it's even more footy.
Footy. I love that word.
We had it at the Greensboro City Club, and I mean, it's like our little cheese shelf. I mean, nobody wanted to go get it. Was it Raclette? I don't remember. That was like 30 years ago.
Yeah, Raclette though is not.
Yeah, that wasn't it. That was not the.
It is footy.
Footy. It's footy. She got some swamp.
But it is footy.
But I mean, no one wanted to go get that cheese out, and like anybody, it was like we had to draw straws because it was just.
And out came the Febreze.
Yeah, and that was helpless against it. I
mean, Febreze has made its match.
It has.
Well, Chef, I think you know what. In this pack, let's just tell people just to enjoy both of these.
Enjoy mix and match, and we do that all the time. I mean, it's like that. Everybody, we could line up 10 different things, and we get 10 different reactions. everybody's palate's different. We just play a game. We do what we like to do. We, move some things around. Of course, I always put a treat or two in there as well.
Pepper on that?
I'll give him pepper.
Man, there's a lot going on. There's
this is super complex.
It is.
It is not. Don't write this off the jam. Your first sip is going to shock you.
It's going to get your attention.
Okay, I mean, so and just like go into it knowing it's like this is going to be a sun ripened California Zen, and then let it sit and keep working on it because the complexities are behind the curtain. And you gotta let that curtain just kind of ease. Don't like break the sunlight in. Just kind of ease the curtain back. And it's coming out.
There's a savoriness in there, almost tomato, or maybe a dried tomato or something of nature. You know what I mean? It's like it's not all fruit.
It's giving it body. It's giving it body and weight. Wow. I almost want to feel like it's focaccia. With when you see like the sun-dried tomato and herb focaccia.
And some olive oil.
Because the chewiness on this, along with the body. But when you bite into a focaccia that's like overly topped.
Right.
That's what this like. But the chew, it still sustains itself.
Maybe some rosemary focaccia would be good with this too.
So we'll revisit this next week.
Well, hey, I know we love drinking with you guys in person, but we also love doing this together.
One of our favorite things.
And we are so glad to have you listen to us ramble on Chris's back porch. And we feel like we're together, even when we're not. And when we can get together, let's do it. Hey, another great week at the restaurant, Chef.
We made it through.
We pulled another great week together. We have another great week this week. If you can be here in person, we will have a couple other ones. And we do this every single week. So can't make it this week? Let's make it next week.
Next week.
Yep.
And there'll be another video week after week after week. So we're here to serve.
Yep. Until our little iPad finally goes kaput.
Yeah. We'll get another.
Thanks for your time, everybody.
Thank you.
See you soon.
Bye.